What's up? All right. How y'all doing? Okay. So I was having a conversation with my friend this morning and she said something that was totally legit. I want to shout out to her, but I can't say her name because she would kill me. So we're just going to call my friend Lady D. But I was talking to Lady D and she's going through her own narcissistic abuse recovery journey, and she was saying, "You know something? Narcissists are consistently inconsistent." And I said, well, I would like to add that they're actually consistent at being a complete and utter disappointment to everybody around them. That's one thing they are consistent at. But for the most part, she was completely correct. Narcissists are totally consistently inconsistent. So let's talk about it real quick. Narcissists are so inconsistent. They're so consistently inconsistent. Let's go through a couple of categories real quick together, so you can pinpoint one if you need to. If you have to co-parent with one of them shits, first of all, my deepest condolences for that, because that's a horror show. They're going to be the person that says to the kids, "Yeah, I'll be at your baseball game or your football game or your whatever the thing is that your kid has," and they're not going to show up, right? They're going to show up enough times to make it very clear and hurtful when they don't show up. They're gonna do that, right? They're gonna show up enough times to be inconsistent, though. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden they're just not there, right? And they're not gonna really have a valid excuse as to why. Case in point, my dad used to do that shit. He would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way. I'm gonna be there on Christmas." No call, no show, right? But prior to that, he might have shown up on birthdays or other holidays and given a gift or something like that just to not show up. You know what I'm saying? And he would keep that pattern. You didn't know whenever he said something, you really could take it like with a grain of salt. You didn't know if he was actually going to do it or not, right? And then he'd have the nerve to actually be mad if you didn't take him seriously and just made other plans and shit. And then that he'll actually show up then and be like, "Where are you?" Well, like, you don't show up though. They're consistently inconsistent with that, right? Let's talk about sex. You can be intimate, have sex with your narcissist all the time. Then all of a sudden, what do they do? "Oh man, I don't wanna, I can't." Like, all of a sudden they're totally disinterested in sex, right? Right. But every other day, matter of fact, with my every day, you usually have sex at some point in that day. All of a sudden you just don't now anymore, right? How about, they're so inconsistent. You could send their ass to the grocery store for grapes, that bitch will come back with an orange, my nigga. All right? Now, if they even win at all, right? They might even come back. You sent them to the grocery store at 3 p.m. They'll come back at 8 p.m. with maybe no excuse. They done went and gone and did something else. They couldn't even get that done. And it's simple. Going to the grocery store is simple. Why couldn't you get that done? You couldn't even do that consistently, right? If you depend on a narcissist to pick up the kids or whatever it is, they will probably not make it to doing that, when usually they might, right? It's always a roller coaster of just bullshit, right? All the time. You're always on edge, like, because you don't know if they're actually going to make it to do anything that they say they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? What else? Let's talk about their sexuality real quick. Since we're on the sex topic, they're not even consistently heterosexual, dude. Their sexual preference, whatever that is, if they gay all of a sudden, if they gay, right? If they was gay on Monday, Tuesday, that bitch is straight for some reason. You can't even count on the fact that you thought that y'all were in a gay relationship and you take them to a party and all of a sudden they're acting real straight and hitting on people or something behind your back. Like if they are straight, you can't even count on them to consistently be heterosexual. I know I couldn't count on mine to do that. I thought you were heterosexual. Everything about you said was heterosexual. I believed you. All of a sudden, you said you heterosexual. Next thing you know, they on the corner busting slobs with another dude and licking glizzies and shit. Eating glizzies when you used to say that you was a taco fan, bruh. You can't even count on them to be consistently anything that they say they are. If they say they hate somebody, they say they don't like that friend, they say that I can't stand my mom or something like that. Next thing you know, well, if you can't stand that bitch, why are you calling that bitch all the time? Like, that's weird. Like, stay consistently that. If you don't like somebody, then why do I see you randomly with them? That person that they said they couldn't stand the whole time they were with you is the main one whose bed they like laying in after they discard you or some shit, or before they discard you. That shit's not true. That best friend my ex-narc had, I said, isn't that your best friend or whatever? I was like, that's your best friend, right? That ain't my fucking best friend. Next thing you know, I'm finding out they're actual whole ass lovers. So I guess you didn't lie. That wasn't your best friend. That was your boyfriend. But inconsistent, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I don't cheat. Next thing you know, they're the biggest whore on the planet. They don't know who the fuck they are, dude. You know what I'm saying? They'll say they love you 1 minute and then do some really hateful shit the next minute. You'll be talking to them at 7 a.m. and by 7 p.m. without an argument, they're just not speaking to you and shit. Right? Like, we call that bipolar around these parts. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, narcissists are consistently inconsistent. If they say that they're non-religious, all of a sudden you'll see them Bible thumping somewhere and you'll be like, hold up, is that, huh? What the, huh? Right? If they say that they're a Bible thumper or whatever, or we'll just say a hardcore Christian, next thing you know, when you get discarded, and you will get discarded unless you're forced to discard them one way or the other, y'all ain't gonna stay together, right? Next thing you know, if they said that they was really religious and they were reading the Bible and throwing it in your face all day, right? Next thing you know, you'll see them like mine was. He was writing. Remember, for those of you who have been with this channel for a minute, when I read that letter that he wrote from jail, and it was all in like biblical text, like thou and thus and thiseth and the Lord saith and all that stuff. Next thing you know, he walking past my house with a purple-haired old bitch with a black candle casting spells during a full moon, like a fucking werewolf. How you go from a disciple to a werewolf, my dude? Huh? Right. Consistently inconsistent, right? One day they're like begging you, I love you, please call me. Da-da-da-da. But then if you were to do that shit and respond and reciprocate, all of a sudden it's a ghost town out here, right? They don't respond because just like with my dad writing that last letter, oh, I just wanted to, I'm 70 and there's certain things we should say, like I love you, I miss you and stuff. When I actually wrote back, didn't hear shit. Sometimes they just want the pleasure of a response, whether it is positive or negative. They just want to know that you'll still say something. That's why it's best to be consistent. Be consistent and not talking to that fool ever again. Be consistent and not acknowledging their presence ever again. The way to get rid of an inconsistent narc is to remain consistent yourself. So that being said, I'm gonna tap on up out of here. But shout out to Lady D for bringing that to my attention. And yeah, consistency is something they cannot do. All right. And if you want to test out and see if someone you just met is a narc, other than all the things we've always talked about through this entire channel, check how consistent they are. Right? The minute that you see that they're like swaying here and sometimes they over there and all, sometimes they back here, sometimes they under there, you know what I mean? It's time to bounce, dude. Get rid of that fool. Nobody needs nobody that's inconsistent, right? Because if they're inconsistent in their actions and in their sexuality, if they're inconsistent in their finances, if they're inconsistent in their friendships, if they're inconsistent in their relationships with family, if they're inconsistent with their co-workers and their job, and sometimes you got a job, sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you feel like it, sometimes you don't, right? Then yeah, they're probably a psychopath and a narc, bro. All right. So you stay consistent. You stay consistent at being no contact with idiots like that. Love y'all. Okay, bye-bye.